So schools of Muslim law, schools we seen in Hindu law also. Schools is a thought process wherein some persons differ on some aspect. Herein also the Muslim community differ on certain aspect that who will be the successor of Muhammad Paigambar. On this issue, there were two groups. One group is saying that the Muhammad Paigambar had elected his successor and they will follow him. And another group said that no, there should be an election and elected person should be treated as a head thereafter. So basically, it is a political dispute on the basis of which the two schools among Muslim were emerged. So those two schools are Shia and Sunni. So there are two schools of Muslim law, one is Shia and another is Sunni. So the division was caused due to difference which was wholly political. That is, the Prophet Muhammad died in the year 632 AD. Now search in the Google, AD is Anno Domini, and without leaving any male issue. And on his death, the quarrel arose as to the succession of Imam. That is, the title of the spiritual and temporal headship of the Islam after him. Who will look after it? One group, that is Sunnis, they advocated the principle of election in choosing the Imam. They put forward their suggestion that there should be an election, and through election, one Imam will be elected, and that Imam will be treated as a head of temporal as well as spiritual things. Spiritual relating to religion, temporal other aspects. So these groups were Sunni, they were in favor of election. The another group is Shia, on other hand, believe that the Prophet had appointed Ali as his successor. Thus, and that Ali will be treated as a head, and thereafter the successors of Ali will be treated as a head in Muslim community as a spiritual leader. Therefore, this divergence between the two groups is nothing but the doctrinal and legal differences arises in the course of time on the basis of this issue, and it results into two different schools. So the Sunni base their doctrine on the entirety of the traditions and regard the concordant decisions of the successive Imam and of the general body of jurists as supplementing the Quranic rules as equal in authority to them. So the interpretations made by the Imam as per Quranic principles is a law for Sunni. And the other hand, the Shia reject not only the decision of the jurist but also all traditions not handed down by Ali or his immediate descendants, that is, those who had seen the Prophet and held discourses with him. As per Shia, the Ali was appointed by the Muhammad Paigambar and he knows what traditions are. Therefore, whatever traditions handed over by him to his descendants are only the correct traditions of Muslim personal law. Therefore, they will believe only in those traditions and not of those traditions which were delivered by the Imams among Sunnis. So with this difference, the several school emerge or sub school emerge. So now we will see broadly what schools of Muslim law and how many sub schools are there. So broadly, there were three schools among Muslim law. One, two we seen already, Sunni school and Shia school. But third other modern school is developed in the Muslim law. They were called as other schools. Now, again, these schools were divided into sub schools. So, Sunni school divided into four sub schools, Shia also divided into three, and other sub schools divided into two. These sub schools we will see at their appropriate time. So, first we will see the Sunni school and their sub schools. So, Sunni school we seen already divided into four sub schools. One is Hanafi school. Now, here also you have to memorize the name of school and the founder of that particular school. Generally, name is based upon the name of the founder. See, for example, Hanafi school, which is followed in India majorly, because we already seen Mughal belongs to Hanafi school. They administered Muslim law in India. They were Hanafis, therefore the Hanafi school prevailed in India. So Hanafi school that was propounded by Abu Hanafi. AH means after Hijra, 80 to 150. Hijra we seen already. Hijra is a journey of Muhammad Paigambar from Makkah to Medina. On that basis, the Muslim calendar is prepared, and that is to be called as AH, that is after Hijra. So after that journey, then second school is Maliki school. It was founded by Malik bin Anas, and the duration of his school or his lifetime is age 95 to 175. In this period, he developed the schools. Then Shafi school, Muhammad bin Idris Shafi, he developed the school during age 150 to 204. Then fourth and last sub-school among Sunni is Hanbali school. This school was developed by the Ahmad bin Hanbal during age 150 to age 204. Now we will go broadly into these sub-schools, what these sub-school talks about or what provides. The first is Hanafi school among Muslim. So Hanafi school is the first and the most popular school in Muslim law so far as India is concerned or even in world. Before being named Hanafi, this school was known as Kufa school, which was based on the name of the city of Kufa in Iraq. Later, this school was renamed as Hanafi school based on the name of its founder Abu Hanafi. So Abu Hanafi later interpreted these principles, and therefore his name was attached with the Hanafi school. So Hanafi school relied on the custom and decisions of the Muslim community. Custom and decisions means whatever behavior which is taking place during those days among Muslim community, that behavior, rules of conduct were recorded by Abu Hanifa. That's what his traditions were converted as Hanafi school. Thus, the Hanafi school codified the precedent which is prevalent during that time among Muslim community. So whatever happened during those era among Muslim community, their traditions, their culture, their marriages, their divorce, their businesses, several other aspects, those were collected and codified by almost the founder of every school. The same thing has been done. So in Hanafi school, Hidayah is the most important and authoritative book which was created over a period of 30 years by Ali bin Abu Bakr al Marginani. So now these principles of Hanafi school were converted into a book called as Hidayah, and this book is covered during the era of 30 years. So Hidayah is authoritative text speaking about the practices of Hanafi school. Now this book provides laws on various aspects except for the law of inheritance. Now Hidayah doesn't provide for inheritance. Inheritance means succession. Both are similar, and succession means on whom the property will devolve after death of the last owner. Who are the heir and up to what extent they will share the property. This law is called as law relating to inheritance or succession. Hidayah doesn't contain any provision over this. So Lord Warren Hastings during the British era tries to translate the Hidayah to English. He appointed many Muslim scholars to translate this book, and this school became widely spread in various territories. As a result, the majority of Muslims in countries such as India, Pakistan, Syria, and Turkey, they belong to Hanafi school. So, because of this book distributed for translation among various Muslim scholars, this school get popularized. So in India, since the majority of Muslim are from Hanafi school, the court decide the case of Sunni Muslim as per the Hanafi school, unless it is specified that they belong to other schools. So those who belong to other thought process, other schools, they have to bring forward the fact that they are not governed by Hanafi school, they are governed by some other school. Otherwise, the Indian Muslims were regulated as per the Hanafi school. Then we will move towards second school, that is Maliki school. So this school gets its name from Malik bin Anas. He was the Mufti of Medina, religious head Mufti. During this period, the Kufa was considered as the capital of Muslim Khalifa, where Kufa is a name of city. Khalifa, where Imam Abu Hanifa and his disciples, means followers, flourished with Hanafi schools. So he discovered about 8,000 traditions of the Prophet, but compiled only about 2,000 among them. So traditions means again the observance of Muhammad Paigambar is to be treated as a traditions among Muslim in every school, except the period is different and they collected different traditions, different behavior, culture, etc. So in India, there are no followers of this school, but when the dissolution of Muslim Marriage Act 1939 came in the picture, some of the provisions were taken from the Maliki school because this law gives right to the Muslim woman because the Muslim woman earlier don't have right to divorce. The divorce among Muslim community is unilateral prior to this legislation. Only husband is entitled to give divorce. However, this act, that is dissolution of Muslim Marriage Act, that we will see in detail in divorce law. This law first time bring the right to divorce to Muslim wife on certain grounds. So far as Muslim husband, there were no grounds that we will see what grounds are. Grounds are equal to no grounds. But here, if the Muslim wife has to seek divorce, she have to prove certain grounds by under this act. So this act had taken some of the features from Maliki school. So some of the laws and provision of this school was taken in account as they are giving more right to women than any other school. So Maliki school is given more right to the woman. That's what while making law relating to women among Islam, the Maliki school is relied upon. So in Hanafi school, if the woman not get any news of her husband, she has to wait till 7 years. Whereas in Maliki school, the woman have to wait for 2 years only for dissolution of the marriage. So this kind of difference is there between the traditions among Hanafi and Maliki school. That's what Maliki school was accepted while drafting the dissolution of Muslim Marriage Act 1939. Now we will move towards third school, that is Shafi school. Again, the Shafi school gets its name on the name of Muhammad bin Idris Shafi. His period was between 767 AD to 820 AD. So he was the student of Imam Malik of Medina, and then he started working with the disciples of Imam Abu Hanifa. So he also conclude the ideas and the theories of Hanafi school and Maliki school. Now Shafi school is based on the provisions or traditions cultures made in above two schools, that is Hanafi and Maliki school. So the Imam Shafi was considered as one of the greatest jurists of Islam. He created the classical theory of Shafi Islamic jurisprudence. According to this school, they considered ijma as the important source of Muslim law. Now, ijma that we will see in the sources, ijma means consensus to take the majority opinion on particular questions. So, the main contribution of Shafi school is the qiyas or analogy. Now, this school introduced some sources for Muslim law, that is ijma and qiyas, that we will see in sources. Ijma means to take the opinion of majority imams and one opinion is to be framed. This is called as ijma. And QA means the interpretation made. So the followers of Shafi school are spread in Egypt, Southern Arabia, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Now, the last, that is Hanbali school. Again, the Ahmad bin Hanbal is the founder of the Hanbali school. When the Imam Shafi left for Baghdad, he declared that the Ahmad bin Hanbal was the only one after him who is the better jurist after him. So the followers of Hanbali school found in Syria, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia. Now there were, these are the four sub schools. Apart Along with these four schools, we have to concentrate on the Hanafi school because Hanafi school majoritarily followed in India. Now there were certain presumptions attached with these schools among Sunnis. The first presumption we seen already, a legal fiction created by law. If certain facts are in existence, then law attaches a fiction that this will be the result. So same presumptions here applicable in case of Sunni law. First presumption is, or the presumption is, unless the contrary is shown, it is to be presumed that parties to a suit or proceeding are Sunnis of the Hanafi school. So the case is Baftan versus Bilaiti Khanun, 1903, Calcutta High Court. The Calcutta High Court held that in India, there is a presumption that the parties are Sunnis, to which a great majority of the Muslim of this country belongs. So, Indian Muslims are Sunnis in other words, and this presumption was attached. But exception is unless the contrary is shown. If somebody says, yes, we are not Sunnis, we are Shia, and these are the evidences, then they will be regulated under Shia. This was held in Baftun versus Bilaiti Khanun. The presumption is Indian Muslims are presumed to be true unless contrary is proved. Then we will go to Shia school. So Shia school again fall into classified into three sub schools: Itna Ashari, Ismailis, Zaidi school. So first is Itna Ashari. These schools are based on the followings of Itna Ashari laws. The followers of these schools are mostly found in Iraq and Iran. So in India, also there is the majority of the Shia Muslim who follows the principles of Itna Ashari school. Two things are there to remember. If you are studying Sunni law, then concentrate on Hanafi school. If Shias are there, then concentrate on Itna Ashari school. So they are considered as political quietist, means principles in English. This school is considered as the most dominant school of the Shia law. The people who follow the Itna Ashari school believe that the last of the Imams disappeared and to be returning as Masiha. So once Imam is disappeared and if he return again, he is to be considered as Masiha and whatever told by him is to be treated as a law. So the next sub school is Ismaili schools. According to Ismaili school in India, there are two groups. The Khwajas or Western Ismailis, they were found in Bombay. They represent the follower of the present Aga Khan. So, whom they considered as the 49th Imam in the line of the Prophet. And the Bohras, that is Western Ismailis, are divided into Daudis and Saulamiyas. Sulamanis, sorry. So, the Ismaili school, two things, Khwajas and Bohras, they belongs to Ismaili schools. They were found in India. particularly in Bombay, it is considered that the follower of these schools has special knowledge of religious doctrine. And the last sub-school among Shia is Zaidi school. The followers of this school are not found in India but are maximum in number in South Arabia. This sect of the Shia school is the most dominant among all in Yemen. So in Yemen, this school is to be followed. Then lastly, we will go to other schools, that is Ibadi and Ahmadiyya. Now these are the modern schools among Muslim law. These were not accepted at all by Muslim community. So Ibadi school, which belongs neither to the Shia nor Sunni sect, and this school claim that its history traces back to the times of fourth Khalifa Ali. So the Ibadi school gives more preferences to the Quran and they do not give this Sunnah much importance. So Sunnah they didn't consider. Sunnah means the actual practice observed by Muhammad and recorded by his successors. So they don't believe on it, they only believed on the Quran. This school has its followers in Oman. So one of the most important point about this school is that besides the Quran, it has provided principal consideration to ijtihad. Now this being a new concept, we had not earlier listened. Ijtihad is a personal reasoning, सत्सत विवेक असं म्हणतो आपण मराठीत. Personal conscious of particular person. That is called as ijtihad. Good conscience, so which has been partially accepted by the Sunnis and has been completely rejected by the Shias. Then lastly, Ahmadiyya school. The followers of Ahmadiyya school claim to be Muslims, but they do not follow Prophet Muhammad. So this school has a recent origin and they are followers of one Ahmad who was alive in the 19th century. So they are not the follower of Muhammad Paigambar in other words. This school is said to have a British Indian origin. So in British area, this school was originated and Mirza Ghulam Qadaini is the founder of this school who served the British government. So even though this school claims to be a follower of Islam, none of the Muslim government has accepted them as a Muslims because they believe this school's faith is completely against the faith of Islam. Because Islam says there is one God and Muhammad is the prophet. And this school saying contrary, therefore this school was not accepted by Muslims. So the Khadian village, which is situated in Punjab in India, is said to be the birthplace of Ahmad, and thus it is their holy place. And the followers are also known as Qadiani. Like the Makkah and Medina are the spiritual places for other Muslims. For Ahmadiyya, it is the Hadian village which was situated in Punjab is the holy place to visit. So there is no authoritative book of this school and because of its origin is also recent, it has no recognition by the other authoritative books of Islam. Then another presumption is the most Shias are Itna Asharis. The presumption is that a Shia is governed by the Itna Ashari law. This was held in Akbar Ali versus Muhammad Ali, 1932, Bombay. I think we had seen this case above in the sources. So, with this, we had concluded the sources among Muslim law. One more thing is there applicability of law of different schools. So, when law of different schools will be applicable? When parties to the suits are Muslim of the same school, the law of that school will apply. If belongs to different school, the law of defendant will apply. If both the parties are same school, no question. But if one of the party is one school and another is of different school and there is case between them, then the law of defendant, defendant means person against whom suit has been filed. the law of his school will be applied. The law changes with the change of school. If the school is changed, the law will change. Succession will be governed by the law of school possessed by him at the time of his death. Because if he changed, like migration, if he changed from one school to another school, then for succession, what was the school of that particular person immediately before his death, as per that school, succession will flow, because succession today is also uncodified among Muslim law. There were no sections. So, lastly, we can conclude that Muslim law is governed by the teachings of Quran and Prophet of Muhammad. There have been many different schools which follow their own interpretations of these teachings on point on which the Quran is silent. Muslim law is governed by the teaching of the Quran, and there have been many, yes, we've seen already. So while the major schools of Muslim can be divided under two sects, Shia Sunni, and each school having their own belief, therefore teaching along with the practices, traditions, and principles of Quran were considered as a schools among Muslim law. So with this, we had concluded the schools among Muslim law.